Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to provide an update on the Phase 1 open space works, or areas that we're currently under construction. I'm going to move on to some update on house building and the highway infrastructure work. So I'm kind of broadening this out a little bit than the title in the agenda. So if we start with the open space areas, to the east there you can see the water park feeding along towards the west, the Northern Greenway, connecting up to the Western Park. As you're aware, we've been working on this since July, August last year. It is constrained by seasonal constraints, unfortunately, but throughout the last sort of quarter, or first 2 quarters of this year, we have been finishing off all the planting works, and we have been finishing off the seeding works. So May was unseasonably wet, and that kind of put us behind, but we have now finally completed all the seeding works throughout at the end of June. We started in the water park on the east, and we worked towards, as I said, the Western Park in the west. So the seed has started to germinate. I can see a nice green hue across the area, across the site. Our contractors are still on site at the moment, carrying out marginal and aquatic planting. They've got 50,000 of those to install, but they should be completed with those works at the end of this week. There's also some snagging works to the main 3-metre wide asphalt cycleway, combined cycleway footway, and those works are ongoing. The water park and the remaining sections of greenways and the 2 play areas, which you can see here, designated as Leap 1 and Leap 2. We'll get them opened up as soon as the grass establishes. I think at the last forum, based on completion of the seeding at the end of May, I suggested, certainly we're sort of talking about early summer, but I suggested sort of the end of June, beginning of July. We're now a month behind completion of the seeding. So I think the best thing I can do at this point in time, looking at where we are now, is just to tell you that we hope to have these areas opened up for use by the public during August. It is difficult to predict how long it will take the grass to grow, especially over 23 acres of those sites there. But we have no incentive at all to keep these areas closed off. We want to get them opened up. And I would imagine that there'll be some kind of compromise between grass establishment, plant establishment, and general access to the public. Okay, moving on to the highway works as an update. Should be another drawing on the screen. Hopefully you can all see that. So during the last quarter, or the second quarter of the year, we've completed about 200 metres of footway and future cycleway on Eagle Way in front of David Wilson Homes and Taylor Wimpey. And in the next quarter, the third quarter of this year, we look to complete another 200 metres. Somebody had asked a question regarding the grassed roundabout on Pathfinder Way. That is still under our control maintenance. It does look neglected. We have reappointed another contractor actually to go and sort that area out. So within the next couple of weeks, that area will be sorted, but we're just going to grass it or seed the areas that had planting in there originally or previously, and then seed those areas. So as I said, I thought it would be useful to provide an update on the house building progress and the works currently anticipated completion, or current anticipated completions of these completions and the completions on the local centre square, the local centre and the employment zone are key to enable us to complete the main infrastructure works, footways, cycleways and carriageways along Pathfinder Way, Stirling Road, Wellington Road, Links Lane and Eagle Way. Before I get into that, I think it would be useful just to repeat again the 3 stages of the construction delivery of the highway infrastructure that's kind of built into our multiple or multi-outlet development model. So stage 1, and this happens before any of the house building works commence, is we come to site, we clear the site, we carry out all the main earthworks, plateauing, creation of attenuation ditches and lakes. We complete any off-site highway improvements. In this case, for phase 1, it was Station Road. We bring service reinforcements onto the site from other off-site facilities. We install the main distributor roads throughout the site. And again, in this case, that would have been and has been Pathfinder Way, Stirling Road, Links Lane, Wellington Road, and Eagle Way. We take the installation of the main roads throughout development, and this is only up to the underside of surface course, and this is installed with temporary sacrificial curbs. We also carry out installation of the main strategic utility mains, and these sit within the proposed footpaths, and in this instance for Northstowe, phase 1 under the on-road cycleways. Stage 2, this occurs during and following the progress of the building works. So service connections, removal of the temporary and sacrificial curbs. We install the permanent curbs. We construct the footways, and again, the on-road cycleways between the frontage buildings and the roads. We carry out the installation of the street lights and highway landscaping works where this is applicable. In stage 3, we top out, complete all the finishing works, surface course to the footways and roads. We install the permanent signage and we install the permanent road markings. As these works progress to stage 3 works, we then look to obtain adoption of the on-site development highway from the Highway Authority. In this instance, this is Cambridge County Council. So just with that as a backdrop, looking at what you've got actually on the screen there, it shows the current completions, building housing completions and percentage completions of the individual building plots. So out of the 13 residential building plots that we have on phase 1, 4 of them have been fully completed, and the remaining 9, which I could do maths, are at different stages of completion, ranging from just started, for instance, plot H13, Taylor Wimpey down on H13 has just started, and plot H11, Taylor Wimpey and Eagle Way, is almost complete. I think the total occupations to the middle of May throughout phase 1 was circa 839 that I saw, and that's out of a planned total of 1,500. So that kind of puts us at 55. I think Richard mentioned earlier we were heading up for 1,000. So let's assume we're kind of 60% complete on occupations out of that 1,500, and the build completions will be slightly more than this. The good news is that all the 4 house builders currently anticipate completing building works by the end of 2023. So this is 2 years ahead of the previous predictions that were made 18 months ago. I'll emphasise at this point that it is conditional on the current buoyant housing market conditions continuing, but there's certainly commitment from the house builders to achieve this target. Hopefully you're aware that the local centre square, which Ricardo mentioned earlier, and the enterprise zones, sorry if I offended you by calling it something different, Ricardo, earlier on, but they're now owned by SCD, and you can see there is momentum behind these areas being developed as well. It's my understanding that completion of these areas are in roughly the timescale as completion of the house building works. So that's towards the end of 2023, maybe just creeping into 2024. But you know, Andrew or certainly SCDC will need to confirm that. So subject to the above, this will mean that by 2 years, and therefore we currently anticipate completing by the end of 2024, achieving substantial completion. My internet connection became unstable there, by the end of 2024, and then adoption of the roads, they follow a 12-month maintenance period normally, by the end of 2025. So again, just focusing in on the map on the screen, the blue lines represent the footways that we have constructed, completed to date, both the highway footways and the leisure route footways. All the leisure route footways that you see on there are complete except a connection up between the between where the pavilion, sports pavilion, and the car park will be constructed. But we do intend to put a temporary connection in there before the end of August to accommodate the scheduled September. Some of these, some of the highway footways are fully complete with the topping on them, and some of them are up to underside of surface course. I've also just noticed that we've missed the temporary footway that we put in from Stirling Road to the busway. As I mentioned previously, the delivery of the footways to stage 2 are fully dependent on the progress of the house building frontage works. So the service connections of the frontage houses are made by the house builders to our strategic service main, so the gas, water, the electric, the telecoms, that we laid within the proposed footways and dedicated cycleways in stage 1. So until these and the house building works have been fully completed, we're not able to move on to our stage 2 works. So the leisure route footways in the water park and the section of Northern Greenway between Linden and Bovis Homes that you can see running through here. And this section of the footways in the water park, as I said earlier, we'll be looking to open that up in August. There's also a missing section, I think I mentioned that earlier, of the footpath that runs between the pavilion and the car park. But that, again, that will be installed in August as temporarily, as mentioned earlier. So I think, as you can see, there is quite a good coverage of footway links running from east to west and north to south. But this will improve as the quarters roll by over the next 30 months. So moving on to cycleways, these are shown here in red. The dedicated infrastructure cycleways are shown as a continuous red line. The combined footways and cycleways are shown as a dotted line. Excuse me. The extent, coverage and the connectivity of the dedicated highway cycleways, as you can see on here, I'll just flip back to the footways, is significantly less, and there are gaps where the frontage house building works have not been completed, and where we have constructed footways ahead of the house building works. That's mainly in front of the enterprise zone and the mixed local centre area. They're mainly sacrificial, and they'll have to be removed and replaced. So these gaps in the cycleway on the main infrastructure works will be filled in over the next 30 months. So during 2024, following completion of the building works and consequently a significant reduction in construction traffic, and when we expect to have full connectivity along the highway dedicated cycleways, we'll apply the red topping to the dedicated cycleways, we'll install the associated signage and paint markings, and at this point they will become operational as dedicated cycleways. Just moving on to the last slide here, that's just really a footnote to what I've discussed earlier. When the secondary school opened, we installed, or we signed and designated this footway route as a combined cycleway and footway, so that there was access down to the secondary school. So that concludes my section of this, and Sam, I believe you're going to pick up on the general connectivity site-wide.
Yes, hi, good evening everyone. John, are you able to put up those, go back to the presentation please? So my slides are much more simplistic than Stephen's, and for that I apologise, but I just wanted to talk generally about movement around Northstowe, and particularly movement between phase 1 and phase 2, and then also to touch on movement between phase 1 and the secondary school campus. So you can see a plan here taken from OpenStreetMap, which is very comprehensive for Northstowe. And I've shown on the plan here the blue lines are routes that are currently open and available for use. So these are highlighted really with the connection that Stephen's installed from the Park and Rides down to Stirling Road in the very top. I don't know if you can see my cursor moving about. Probably not. Okay, so hopefully you can follow where I'm talking about. And then also there's the section of the bus only road from Stirling Road going up to Pathfinder School, and then Pathfinder School to Eagle Ray. That's completed. And then on the western side, you've got the paths and routes within the Western Sports area. Thank you, John. I can see your cursor there. So other routes that are available to use is a connection from that Western Sports area into Magdalen Close, just in Longstanton, just down a bit, John, down a bit more. There, yep, there's a connection there into Longstanton, and also to the south, Magdalen Close. That's it, that area there, yep. And then from there, you can get on to Rampton Road, I think it is, which goes past Rampton Drift, that area there, and Homes England have stored a tarmac path that goes from Rampton Drift and links back onto Stirling Road. So you can see that there's a bit circuitous, but there's a route there of if you didn't want to use the nice path that's been built along Stirling Road, that Stephen mentioned in his last slide, but that's an alternative route. The red lines are routes that should be opening this year, and Stephen's touched upon the Northern Greenway, which is going from Pathfinder School past Linden and Bovis, and on also the routes through the water park. And that's it. Wonderful, John. Thank you. And also the other red line in the centre of the image is the continuation of the bus only road and where it joins between phase 1 and phase 2. So if you go to the edge of Rampton Drift, you'll see that phase 2 Homes England have built their section, and Stephen's built his bit, and the two bits need to be joined up together now, and I think that's to be happening later on this year. And that will afford another route that's away from vehicles. From the centre of Northstowe, you'll be able to go from Pathfinder School down that bus only road, join up with the path at Rampton Drift, and then across there onto Stirling Road. Now within phase 2, Homes England have constructed the cycle paths to a slightly newer standard than what Stephen's able to do, because they're in Homes England's area, they have a separate routes that they can use for their construction lorries, so they don't have to worry too much about the lorries damaging the road surface, which is the issue in phase 1. So once you join Stirling Road at the boundary into phase 2, which is where the path from Rampton Drift is, and where the red line from the water park joins, then you want a cycle path there all the way down to the secondary school. So if you're new to Northstowe, you'll kind of discover these routes and places, and if you're a long-standing resident in Northstowe, hopefully you can follow where I'm talking about. John, could you move to I'll talk about the purple lines. The purple lines are just the routes to happen in the future. So that's the Southern Greenway principally. And as Stephen was saying, those will be in by 2024. But they really complement the movement network. And as the houses and the parcels get completed, then all of the different routes through those parcels, which are designed to connect from parcel to parcel and almost be an extra network of routes, they'll take shape and form. And a good example of that is the green area within I think Taylor Impey's plots, H11. John, if you can move your cursor right into the centre. Yeah, so there's a green route that passes from there roughly down to Eagle Ray, and then that will cross over into the next parcel and join up essentially the Southern Greenway with the Northern Greenway. And if you go to the Northern Greenway and you're at the area between Pathfinder School and Linden Homes, you'll see a bridge, and you think, what's that bridge there for? Well, that bridge is to connect that route across the Greenway into the parcel, which is yet to be started between that Greenway and the bus only road. So there's another network of routes that will appear over time. John, if you could go to the next slide, if possible. Now, work that's immediately on the horizon and that the County Council is focused on and the Town Council is focused on, and there've been several questions in the chat about, is how do we connect from Longstanton Park and Ride into Northstowe? And this is really shown with again, we've got the blue lines and the red lines that I talked about. So the blue, that's possible now. And many thanks to Stephen for being able to install the blue line from Stirling Road to the Park and Ride that you can see on the left-hand side of the image. And you got your cursor around anyway, John? Yep, somewhere there. And the purple lines are the lines that the County Council is focused on delivering. So at the top end, the path link to connect from the Park and Ride to the path within the water park, and then towards the middle of the image, the north-south link, which is the bus-only road. And again, we've been working on these links for some time. The key issue for us is funding, and we've tried to resolve that. And so in terms of time scales and delivery time scales, I can't give you a date. I'd love it to be September, but for the path link at least, but I don't know. So I'm not going to promise anything. It's all to do with colleagues, and I'm trying to facilitate those discussions and get colleagues focused on those schemes, and also find money for them. So that's an update for me, and happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Tam. That was really useful, and to you, Stephen, as well. I'm just going to go back. There were quite a few questions that came up. I'm just obviously some of them then did get answered subsequently. So I've been keeping track, but I just wanted to just come back. So there was an answer on would there be some open water swimming, and the phase 2 water park has been signed with zoned areas to allow swimming and other activities such as canoeing, and Homes England have said previously that that's an autumn date for those. So I think the cycle path and busway questions I think have been answered. Do ping if it's still not clear. Stephen, do you know the Britannia Road area around H6, is it going to get a tarmac and top road surface?
Sorry, say that again, Sarah.
The Britannia Road area around H6.
H6. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where Britannia Road is, to be perfectly honest.
It's a bit after Stirling Way, going up around the top. You can have a look on the map.
It's on the Bovis development, is it?
It goes through that section at the top of Stirling Way, yeah. You can go and have a check on the map, and then you can come back to us. On the cement blocks in the Muga, any update on that? I think where we left it was that you were to contact the company that makes them, report back with ways to improve them.
Yeah, we have to go through our contractors because there is a contractual arrangement there. They have been to Duo, the manufacturer. Duo have said to them, this is how they come, but I'm still trying to resolve this through our contractor with Duo.
Okay, Tam, the path from Rampton Drift through to Stirling Road, is that temporary? So it was a bridleway and has been replaced with a tarmac surface?
That's all part of the greenway that Homes England are building, which will run past Rampton Drift and join up to Stirling Road. So I think that tarmac path is part of that greenway, and so therefore the permanent finish. It does get routed from time to time as various works takes place in the around it. So currently there's a couple of diversions, but yeah, Dean might know more about that. But I think the bridleway is an extra route to be created as the greenway gets completed. That will have a different surface to the tarmac.
Dean, are you able to confirm?
Yes, Sarah, is exactly as Tam said. The bridleway will be an alternative route on a similar but different line with a more horse-friendly surface when that part of the greenway is completed.
Thank you. And then a question on a water park link to the busway to help commuting routes. So it's very close to linking to Rampton Road, but doesn't quite. So not the Park and Ride side, the other side, if that makes sense.
Oh, what do you mean where the busway crossing is at Rampton Drift? Do you think that's what they mean?
To Rampton Road.
I'm trying to figure out where the
John, do you
question
have a
refers
map you
to.
could just bring up?
Yeah,
I'll
that
put a
we
map
know
up.
that
Hold
we-
on.
thank you, John. See if we can identify the
Just
right
while John's
location.
doing that, what is the width of cycleways and are they shared with pedestrians?
On the carriageways, sorry, Stephen.
No, the dedicated cycleways on the carriageways are 2.1 metres wide. The combined cycleways and footways are 3 metres wide.
John's coming up with the map.
Okay, where do we need to go? Where was the question, please?
So
John,
North Park link to the busway. So if you just move up to it.
Does it mean this section or?
And then if you said
Does it mean that area?
Hugh, can you just confirm? It's at the end of phase 1 lake.
If it's the top area to the Longstanton Park and Ride, then that's on our radar and we'd like to get that link in as soon as possible. We've started the project and I've got a site meeting on Friday. But as I was saying earlier, I don't know when that will mean that we can actually get the link in, but we'll look to get that in as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah, so Hugh meant the other side.
Oh, okay. So the other side,
yes.
Yeah, there's a pumping station on the end of the track there, adjacent to the busway. So just there's one there in phase 1 and there's one there in phase 2 where the cursor is currently. And currently there's no means of connection between the two, but the plan for the phase 2 pumping station has a vehicle access that comes across the track and joins up with the vehicle access that is within the phase 1 water park to the phase 1 pumping station. So that will be a useful way of connecting from the phase 1 water park to the phase 2 water park once that physical connection for the vehicles is installed. I'm not aware of any gates or anything to prevent access across the two, so I think that will be your main way of getting across. Otherwise, your other way of getting across between the two water parks is down at Stirling Road. I'm not aware of any other connections in the centre. There's a connection from the track into phase 2 around about the midpoint, but Stephen, I'm not aware of any connection from your section into that area. But correct me if I'm wrong.
No, there's none that I'm aware of either.
Grand. But I think those two connections at either end will hopefully be quite comprehensive.
Okay, thank you. John, while you're whizzing around on OpenStreetMaps, could you find Britannia Road so that we can go back to that question, which is good.
I think, what was the question again?
So just checking that this area is going to get tarmac and surface topped off. And time.
I'll answer for both, but I'm pretty, yes, it will be topped off, I'm sure.
And do you know at all when that might be?
No.
Okay.
If I can jump in on that one, just because I'm keen to point out that that's definitely not within Stephen Sage's gift, as it were. So that anything that is happening within a parcel is the responsibility of that developer. So that's going to be Bovis of History. That's going to be Steve Gittings, who I know has his email out there for people to contact.
Thanks, John.
On that note, Sarah, there's a physical path as well from the end of Britannia Way into the water park that joins up to the tarmac path in the water park. So once that end of Britannia Way is completed, and I think those few houses there at the end are completed, then that path will probably open up. And to also note that the tarmac path in the water park is lit and it's tarmac, so it's going to be a really good route to use.
Great, thanks, Tam. Stephen, just a question on graffiti generally. Is it going to be cleaned up?
It's certainly if it's within our land or on any of our anything that we own, it will be. Yes. Is there a specific place we have?
I will ask for specifics and we'll follow up.
Okay.
So I think that's, I'm just checking if there's any. So Owen's question is, I'm just going to read it out. So referring to the walking link from the water park to the busway station down near Britannia Road. So he's looking for concrete info on timelines and why there's no funding for this. So I think, Tam, you have covered it, but perhaps just to reiterate, just for some resonance.
Yeah. So the Section 106 money is allowable for the county council to build the road from the Longstanton Park and Ride into the phase 1. It just isn't enough. So the county council's digging around for more money, and we've actually requested a contribution from Homes England as part of the phase 3 consent, and they very kindly agreed to that too, to help us out. So with all of the funding we've got, we really hope to be able to get that road in, and that also really includes the link from the park and ride into the water park too. So we aim to get both connections done at the same time.
And do you have any timelines?
I'm afraid not, Sarah. No, I've never been able to give you a solid timeline, and if I had a guess, I'd be wrong. So
Thank you. On the cycle connectivity map, you showed that Rampton Road between Stirling Road and the busway crossing is a finished path, but will it get a smoother surface at any time in the future because it's very difficult to cycle on at the moment?
Rampton Road is public highway, and so subject to maintenance from the county council for as they see as required. So it's not. I don't think the surface will be substantially upgraded in the future unless there's a resurfacing program, which it's part of.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all we have. Hang on. So I believe there are plans for a crossing between both phase 1 and phase 2 water park halfway up the current bridleway. Is this correct?
Not a crossing between the two water parks. What you would do is you would leave the phase 1 water park either at Stirling Road or at the pumping station adjacent to the busway, and then you'd make your way up or down the track that runs between the two water parks, and then you can enter into the phase 2 water park about halfway down, and you can see a gap when you go there at the moment, you can see that there's a gap in the fencing on the phase 1 side, but there's a gap in the fencing on the phase 2 side, but an actual physical link on the phase 2 side and a ditch on the phase 1 side. So I presume that it's just on the phase 1 side, the fencing just needs to be continued across that gap, and on the phase 2 side, that path will be completed up hopefully by Homes England soon.
If I may interject at this point, I've seen plans that both have and have not got paths at that point, so I'll take that as an action to bring up at the next open space steering group meeting.
Grand, thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Okay.
Might I mention, Sarah? Sorry.
Yeah,
the road from Stirling, the Rampton Road from Stirling Road to the busway. There's been some discussion recently with Homes England about the finishing of that, and it's currently a byway open to all traffic. I believe it's going to be downgraded to a bridleway. It's currently sort of the type 1 heavy stone. That's not the finished surface. It'll probably be covered over for a bridleway and then a finished tarmac surface for cycling as well. So it'll be a mixed route for all users, but we're still talking about its finished surface.